And we want to talk to you about the 7 steps. And number one question is, how much money do you make each day? This is where it all starts. Of the 7 steps, the 7 habits, the 7 parts to the funnel. The question is, how much money do you make each day, and how do we improve that at the very top? Now, in addition to that, if you're going to celebrate and figure this out, the secret to wealth is 2 things. The secret to wealth is figuring out how to make more money. And number 2 is how to invest it. So the secret to wealth is how to make more money and how to invest it. So as you think about that, step number 1 is to make more money. In fact, let's just do a little bit of doodling so that you really get where I'm coming from and you can see the impact it has if we can solve step number 1 and really make that work. And so as we talk about the 7 steps here, here is the 7 steps. Number 1, make more money. That's crucial. Make more money is number 1. Number 2 is to separate it. Number 3 is to give. Number 4 is to automatically invest. And then number 5 is to save and spend. Those are the first 5. And if you do these first 5, we can get you on the path and help you to become financially free. But we want you to be wealthy. Number 6, this is the whole creating wealth side right here. We need to add real estate and business, large businesses. And number 7 is the wealth formula. This is how you perpetuate it. This is how you make it really go, is by doing each of these things. So once you make sure that you get those steps down, that's what's crucial. But it all really starts, class, it all starts with number 1. It all really starts with number 1. How do you make more money? And you have 2 things. You have a job, and some of you have a small business. And some of you have 2 jobs. The good news is that you're making money. The bad news is inflation. Step number 5 over here, inflation. It costs more money to live every day. The governments of the world can't balance their budgets, so they are printing more money. That's what they do. They have to have at least a 4% inflation rate here in America, in addition to all that extra borrowing and printing money to make their math work. So what does that mean? That means that stuff is going up and being more and more expensive. When you're spending money to live, it costs you more money. When I was a kid mowing lawns, gas cost 25 cents a gallon. Now it is 20 times that. When my wife and I got married 41 years ago, a house was 2x of my salary. Whatever I was making working, I could buy a house for 2 times that amount. Well, now it's 7 times that because of inflation. If it costs you more money, that's inflation. If it makes you money, it's appreciation, and we appreciate it. So it really comes back to the real big question here that I really want you to really think about. How much money do you make each day? How much money do you make each day? Because that is the top of the funnel. That is the top of everything. And this is a funnel. This is a cash flow funnel. As money comes into your world, it comes in here first. And then what are you doing with it? If all of your money is going from here down to number 5 just to survive, then you're not getting ahead. Of every 100, and we'll say keep it to 100 because that's a simple math, for every 100 of something, 100,000, $100, 100 pesos, whatever it is, what percentage of that is going over here just to survive? The key is figure out how to make more money because there is a certain basis of how much it's going to cost to survive, and then get as much money as you possibly can into number 4. You've got to get more money into number 4. You have to figure out how to make more money. So the question remains, how much money do you make each day? Well, if you think about that, how much money do you make each day? Well, what is it you do? And is there a way that you can learn how to make more money? Well, part of that is supply and demand. I'm a big supply and demand guy. So I'm going to come down here. We're going to doodle on supply and demand. Supply and demand. How does it work? Well, it's very simple. It's very simple. How many people want a particular service? Now, my next door neighbor is a famous back surgeon. He's done 2 back surgeries on me. He's famous for his surgery, and that's what he does. And he's the best at it. And so he is a specialist in surgery. And he makes a lot more money than a regular doctor, who makes more money than a nurse, who makes more money than a receptionist, who makes more money than the janitor. Because he is in demand. If you want to do back surgery, you don't go have the nurse do it. You don't have the receptionist do it. You have to have somebody that knows what they're doing. Probably not even a doctor. You want to go to a specialist. And then even a general surgeon versus a specific surgeon. My wife had a problem. She was in a car accident. She hurt her foot, and they sent her to a foot specialist and a foot surgeon. And that's all he does all day long. And he's a pro at it, and he's the best. Well, because he's doing that one thing, he makes more money. And he makes a lot more money than somebody down here. How many people can do this job out of 100 people, out of 1,000 people, out of 10,000 people? You take a population. Well, how many of those people can do that specialty surgery? Well, maybe 1% of them. Yeah, that's a lot. How many of those 10,000 people could be a janitor? Well, 100% of them probably could. How many could be a receptionist? Well, probably 50% of them. You see where I'm going? The goal is to figure out how to make more money each day. Now, there's 2 ways that you can do that. One is with your job. And that's how most people are doing it. They're working a job. Now, the key is figure out how to go up the ladder so that you are more scarce. Now, that could be a business person, that could be an artist, that could be whatever. But the key is, how do you demand more money? And so we're going to use the same analogy on here on the supply and demand idea on here. Well, what kind of a job do you have? Well, teacher. We love teachers. Okay, there's lots of teachers. You have a principal. Okay, you have a principal. Out of 100 people, we'll use 1,000 people. What percentage of those could be an effective principal? Well, a very small percent, maybe 1%. How many of them could be a teacher? Well, how many of them could just be a student? Okay, well, how many of them can be a teacher? Well, maybe 10% of them. Okay, the more you are in demand, the more money that you can demand. Got it? The more you are in demand, the more that you can demand, because it's just natural. If you're into sales, same thing. And it's all about results. So the key is, in step number 1 up here, we've got to figure out how to make more money. Now, there's 3 things you got to do to make more money. Number 1 is you need to study successful people. You need to study successful people and then do what they do. Number 2, you need to solve problems. What are the problems that you're solving? And number 3 is you need to add value. You need to add value. And you need to be more valuable than someone else. Now, the sad truth of it all is that the governments of the world can't balance their budgets. So they are forcing inflation. It's going to be harder to live and more expensive to live in the future than it is today. And the problem is your job, if inflation's at 4%, is your job going up 4%? Probably not on a yearly basis. So when they say the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poor, it's because of inflation. And the rich are getting richer because they have assets. I'm just going to use real estate, for example, that go up in value when inflation goes up. And we are either going to appreciate it, we call it appreciation, because we appreciate it, versus inflation. It's the same thing. It's the two sides to the coin. I don't mind inflation. I love inflation because all my real estate goes up in value. I make more money because my real estate's going up in value. I make more money because my stocks are going up in value. Why? Because the dang governments can't balance their budget and they're forcing inflation. That's the game that we are playing. So how do you win this game? Well, you've got to figure out how to make more money. Now, you can do that working at your job. You need to figure out how to get a better job. The biggest asset that you have is technology. You live in a country where the cost of living compared to the rest of the world is relatively low. But the wages are low too. So what you need to do is you need to be able to offer your services to someplace else, like the USA or someplace else, Japan, wherever it is, where you can charge more money to do what you do. Your cost of living is lower, but your income is higher. You see where I'm going? But you're fishing in a different pond. You're fishing in a different pond. If you're working and all you're doing is working, making a living where you live, the cost of living is whatever it is, and the cost of the income that you can make is whatever it is. The goal is to be able to live in some place that's that's not as much money, but you can make more money, but you have to offer your services. And basically, that's online. A lot of that is online. So where are you going to go to find that? One of the places I'm going to tell you to go to is I want you to go search hirebloom.com. Let me do that again. Hirebloom.com. Now, in order to do this, they specialize in, this is just one of the groups. So what they do is they specialize in customer service, tech, and all kinds of things using technology. But what you've got to do is you've got to learn how to be more. You need to learn how to solve bigger problems. And so, for example, I'm here in America. The cost of living in America is higher. I have to pay higher wages here. But some of my people I work with live in other countries, and so it's less money for me to pay them. And so it's a good deal for both of us. But we want you to figure out how to do that. Now, one of the things you need to do when you go to Hire Bloom is you got to be able to solve problems. And Google Docs is one of the places to start with. Can you do a spreadsheet? Do you know how to do a spreadsheet? Do you know how to do any simple programming? Okay, do you know how to do simple programming? And Khan Academy is a place that you can go to learn skills. You can learn how to do programming. Code.org is a place where you can go to learn how to do programming. But as simple as being able to do spreadsheets and do some web pieces, using Google Docs and the internet, you can make more money doing that for somebody that lives foreign than working for somebody in your own backyard. So number one is how much money do you make per day? Now, part of that is your job. Now, the second part of that is your business, your small business. Now, if it's a small business, it's basically a job. Your small business is basically a job. The key is we need to figure out how to get this baby down into step number 6. This is number 1, but we've got to get down into number 6. We've got to get into the creating wealth mode. And the way we've got to do that is we need to nail it, then scale it. You need to nail it, then scale it. What are the systems that you use? What is the program? What is the way you do what you do? You need to nail it and then scale it. How do you take a product and figure out how to be able to take it out to the world? So the biggest thing is in your business, are you working in the business or on the business? Are you flipping the burgers, or are you the guy that owns the business and are managing the people that are doing it and duplicating it? So now some of that, when I talk about business, there's all kinds of ways you can do it. Now, if you have a business or you don't have a business, one of the things that I'm going to tell you to learn from is from multi-level marketing, MLM. Now, I'm going to tell you this from a different reason. One of the advantages is that you can learn how to sell. You can learn how to offer. You learn how to present. You learn how to communicate. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do when you're doing a basis in MLM. Now, I'm saying I would do this to learn how to do that. Now, if you have a business, you have to learn how to sell. You need to learn how to create offers. You need to learn how to present. You need to learn how to communicate. Plus, you've got to find employees and a lease and product and money, accounting and legal. And you have all these other things in your business that you have to figure out how to do. So one of the advantages is that if you have a multi-level marketing company that you can get involved with, the key is you're going to learn how to do these things. The plus is you don't have to do these things down here. That is a whole orphanage. That's a whole orphanage of extra things that you have to do. We want you to specialize doing this. Salespeople make more money than receptionists. People on commission make a lot more money if they're good than somebody that just works by the hour. So one of the things I'm going to say is get involved with some really good MLMs for the purpose of learning how to sell, how to make offers, how to present, and how to communicate. Then if you want to create a business, now you've got to add all these other pieces to it. Now, I've made a fortune in both of them. And MLM, I had a heart attack when I was 34 years of age. I've been on nutritional products now for decades and decades and decades. And it was an MLM, and I failed miserably. I failed at it twice before the third time I finally figured out how to do it. And I figured out how to do it by following somebody that was really successful. I studied successful people, and I only did the things that they were doing. And so that's how we did it. The advantage of a small business like an MLM or affiliate programs, you can learn how to do these things, and you don't have to spend time doing this stuff, because that is an orphanage of itself, all this extra stuff. Now, once you do find a business, can you scale it? Can you scale it? What does that mean? Well, there's only 3 ways to make more money at your business. Make more money with your business. Okay. Number 1, you can get more clients. That's number 1. And that's where everybody usually stops. I'm done. That's all I get. I just got to get more people. That's number 1. Number 2 is to get them to buy more every time they buy. They need to buy more. And number 3 is to buy more often. In your business, those are the 3 things you need to concentrate. Most people spend all their time right here and just trying to get more clients. But let me give you an example of how this works. Number 1, let's just say for simplicity that we have this could be a week, a month, a day, I don't care, whatever it is, but let's say we have 1,000 clients that come through our store. It might be a month, I don't care, whatever it is. And when they do, they're spending 100 of something. So that means your gross sales, all you got to do is add the zeros. 1 plus 5 zeros. You don't need to know how to do it. Just count the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 10,000. That could be pesos, that could be dollars, that could be a day, that could be a month, whatever it is. But if you have 1,000 people that are spending $100 or 100 pesos, that's your gross revenues is 10,000. Now, if you could get them to buy more, so we're going to get the same 1,000, but now we're going to get them to buy 200. You just doubled your sales. You just went from 10,000 up to 20,000 that quick by getting them to buy more. Number 3 is to buy more often. Buy more often. So that means we get them to come in twice. That means we've got 2,000 people because they come in twice versus once. They're still spending the same 200. That means your top line revenue, your gross revenue went from 10,000 to 40,000. This is how you sell your way out of your problem. We figure out how to do 3 things. Get more clients. That's helpful. Get them to buy more, and how to buy more often. So when we talk about the 7 steps, we'll go back up here to our doodle up here. The key is you got to figure out how to make more money. The funnel of everything that comes in starts with this one. Number 1, it does not start down here where you're investing. Your investing is going to multiply your assets. But the key is to figure out how to get number 1 really cranking, and number 6, we want to create some wealth. And you've got to do these 2 things as well. Otherwise, you are at the mercy of the governments around the world, inflation, and everything else. And the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer because the rich invest in figuring out how to make more money, but more importantly, they invest it. And their investments are making money. And then they continue to add income producing investments with the real estate and businesses and multiple streams of income. And then they do the formula. They do the wealth formula. The key to all of this is the wealth formula. What the heck is that? Boy, this is a lot of stuff. Wealth formula. Start with the end in mind. We need to take money from our job, our small business, our real estate, our large business. And every month, our goal is to make profits on that. It can be pesos, it could be yuan, whatever it is. And it goes into a separate account where you're keeping track of it. Times it has to go up in value. It's got to be inflation. You got to get more than 4% on it. You can't put all this money in your savings account at 0 when inflation is 3% or 4%, because you're losing ground. You've got to keep up with inflation or beat inflation. Times time. We got to do this for a while. This is not a get rich quick. We don't want to get rich quick. We want to get rich solidly. We want to plant those money trees. We want those roots to go down deep. We want to have this tree that will survive when the wind blows. And that equals wealth. And more importantly, it equals generational wealth. Because what are you going to do? You're going to hand that down to your kids. Okay. You're going to hand that down to your kids. Now, what's more important? Money, knowledge, or experience? If you can only hand down one thing to your children, money, knowledge, or experience, what are you going to hand down to them? What are you going to give them? Well, most of the time we just give them money. And when do we give them money? When we're dead. I'm going to keep all this money. If we have any money, I'm going to give it to you and you can inherit it. Okay. That's what we do give them, but that's not that important. Knowledge. Hey, son, this is what you need to do. Go do this. I'm not doing it, but you need to do this. Knowledge is good. That's helpful. Experience is the most important thing. It's the hardest thing to do. It's the hardest thing to do is give your kids experience. It's not what you know, it's what you have done. It's not what you know, it's what you've done. It's not what your kids know, it's what they've done. I know I shouldn't have done that, but you did it. Now, it's helpful if you can give them all three. That'd be great. But that's probably the most important right there is that experience, a good experience with money, so they know how to do it. Put them in the car, let them drive the stinking car. And if they don't know how to drive the car, go to the church parking lot and drive in the church parking lot so they know how to do it. Take them with you when you go to the bank. Take them with you when you go to do your investing. Take them with you when you go to investment conference. Take them with you when you do your real estate. If you want to hand down and have generational wealth, you have to have generational experience. That's number one. You need to have generational knowledge. That's the most important one right there. The knowledge is helpful. And the money, if you can get them started on the money, that's even more helpful. Because now they're not starting from behind the eight ball. They're not starting surviving. That's our problem here is we're just surviving up here. Gosh, who did all this writing? This is crazy. Look at all this writing. They're all just surviving here. What we need to do is we need to make more money, and then we need to get more of that money down in here. We need to make more money down here in number 6. We need to work on our wealth because you are, all money does is make you more of what you are. All money does is make you more of what you are. All money does is make you more of what you are. How many of you believe that? If you're a jerk and you got a lot of money, you become a big jerk. If you're giving, you're loving, you want to help other people, it gives you more to be able to do that with. That's why we created the foundation. I was gifted. I was gifted the knowledge. I was gifted the experience because my dad made me do it. My dad made us do it. We had to go do it. We had to learn how to do it. We had to learn how to do it, and then we did it. And then we got feedback from it, and we did it again and again and again. It's not what you know, it's what you've done. My goal is to help you to make a bigger impact. My goal is to help you become more wealthy. Wherever you are is to become more wealthy and to make a difference. The foundation, my wife and I donated $3 million. Where did that money come from? Where did that money come from? Where did that money come from? It came from number 6. Our real estate and our businesses, on our stock. We made $10 million. We made $10 million in real estate. So it was okay for us to give a chunk away. And that money makes about 8% a year in Berkshire Hathaway stock and other stock. It makes a chunk of money. And then we give that money away. So I'm turning 67. I was born in 1959. It's now 2026. Boom. And all these dots represent your life and what you've done. I'm turning 67. I have no idea how that came about. Anybody in their 30s or 40s want to trade? I'd be interested in talking. But over your lifetime, you're going to learn, you're going to earn, and you're going to return. Now, you're going to do all three of those things your whole life. You're going to learn, you're going to earn, and return. You're going to do that your whole life. But if you do it right, you learn earlier. You learn earlier and faster and continue to do that. You have really good earning years when you've got the extra energy. And then you've got return mode. Now, you're going to do all three of those your whole life. But my concentration is right now is in the return mode. Why? Because my assets are on autopilot. Warren Buffett's managing my real estate, our stock portfolio. I invested in the 500 biggest companies in America. Guess what? They go up, they go down. I don't really care. All I know is that in the future, they're going to be worth more because of inflation. We do real estate in stock, in the stock market, Cohen and Steers. If you want to do real estate, if you want to invest in real estate in the stock market, Cohen and Steers, or you can do it on your own. But that's where we're at. That's where my wife and I are at. We're in the return mode, and we're really trying to return fast. At the same time, we're trying to teach our kids how to do it. All right, guys, get off my high horse. Sorry, shouldn't have got me started on that. The key to all this is step one. You got to figure out how to make more money. You got to study successful people. And then you got to do what they do. You got to look for problems. Everybody runs away from problems. We run towards the problems. Because with solving problems is opportunity. And guess what? I don't solve the problems. I just find somebody that helps me solve the problems. I connect people together. And then I get out of their way because they're better at it than I am. And I'm always just looking for new problems because life's a game and games are fun. And you make more money when you solve problems. That's kind of that's probably more information you wanted to know. But the key is right here, guys. This is it. How much money did you make and how much money do you make each day? And if you go to a job and you get paid by the hour, you only make so much a day, and that's all you can make. But the question is, how can you make more money? How can you make more money? Well, you got to do that with your businesses. You've got to do that with your jobs. You've got to do that with your investing. You got to do that with your real estate. The secret to wealth is to make more money and have it invested and have it multiply. That's the key, guys. That's the key. So I want you to be able to be put into a position that you can do anything you want. I want you to put your kids in a position that you can help them do what they want, but not spending much money that they don't have to do anything. And it's hard. It's hard. Sometimes these kids just aren't a chip off the old block. The key is to find something you're passionate about and go help other people. My friend Tony Robbins said the secret to living is giving. And so how do you give? How do you give and how do you solve problems? That's the key, guys. You want to make it happen? The secret to wealth is to make more money and invest it. And that all boils down to basically how much money are you making each day? And then you figure out how much money did I make today? And then you go figure out how to make more money and then get your kids involved with you and help them with the experience. It's been Tom Painter for the Success Money Foundation. Make a difference, make it happen.